Okay. Oh, please work. Come on. I'm going to. That I need. Okay. Crap. Would people stop ruining goods? Pardon? Jiminy's songs students have ruined for me just today alone. Okay, this is driving me nuts. Pardon me? I know, I'll wake up screaming. Okay, we'll see how this goes. For some reason, this projection has a big lag on it, so we'll see how things go. Okay, so listen up. I apologize, the projection has a lag on it, so we're going to see how this goes. So I'm just going to remind you of what we did yesterday. So for those of you who are away in particular, please look at the screen. All a 11 by 14 inch panel to do your practice painting on. You're going to divide the image that you draw into 3 different sections. We're going to do each section using a different oil painting technique, okay? Even though I said this twice the last class, I look over and there's a bunch of people not paying any attention to what I'm talking about, driving me nuts. Anyway, so today we are going to work on the first section. Anyway, so transferring the image onto the canvas. You can draw directly on the canvas if you want to. What I find is if I make a mistake and have to erase, it just makes the canvas into a big mess. The graphite just sort of smears everywhere. So I do my drawing onto a separate sheet of paper that's the exact same size as my panel. I turn the paper over. I scribble on the back with graphite. The graphite is located on the island in a little white rectangular dish. Turn it on its side, scribble with it. It will take you basically 30 seconds to cover the entire thing. If you use the point, it's going to take you an hour. Okay? Flip it over onto your panel, tape it down, ballpoint pen, trace your drawing to transfer it onto the panel. Then to lock it down, there are little bits of, is this going to show up? My hand's a blur. Oh, it's way behind. That's even the same hand. Anyway, back on the island, there are these small little bits of waxy paper. There will also be, when I return this, a small pot full of the ochre paint. This is acrylic, by the way, so it's going to dry nice and fast. All you need to do is like scoop out a dime-sized dollop onto this with the little popsicle stick that's sitting on top of the container. Add water to it to thin it, and simply go over your lines. Just trace it, okay? Next stage is what I'm working on now. So, oh, this thing is so far behind. See if it catches up. It's driving me nuts. I think I've got too many things attached. Anyway, come on, move for me. Anyway, that's a problem. Anyway, so what I've got here is, maybe I'll just sort of stand here and do this, see if it catches up. There are, I'm going to pass these out in a minute. This is a small container of liquid. This is the medium that you're going to use to thin your oil paints out. It's also going to speed up the drying time of your paint. The more you add, the more transparent your paint will become, and the faster it will dry. Okay, this is called liquid. And basically, they're 2 different shaped containers because the ones I bought previously, they ran out of. So half of them are in this container, half of them are like a little sort of takeout container dish. Anyway, all the same stuff. And we have more, so if you use this up, we can give you some more, not a problem. Okay, so then what I've done is I asked you to bring in your palettes. And again, there are 2 boxes of parchment paper on the island to wrap your palette up. This makes cleaning up super easy. All you have to do is rip this off when you're done and toss it. Beauty of oil paint is that it dries a lot more slowly than oil paint, than acrylic paint. So I can just wrap this loosely with a piece of the saran wrap at the end of the period, put it on the rack, come back tomorrow. And as long as I haven't like loaded this up with some liquid in it, it's going to still be wet and usable tomorrow, probably the next day and the day after that, right? It takes oil paint a long time to dry. It might form a little skin on top, but if you poke through it like a pimple, there's wet paint underneath, okay? So it's not like acrylic where it's a waste. So whatever you use today, you can basically wrap it up and it'll be good to use tomorrow. The only color you're going to use today is going to be this color here, which is burnt umber. It's a nice dark brown. There are 2 containers on the island sitting on top of the rolls of the parchment paper, those orange boxes. All you need again is like a dime-sized little squirt, because basically for this first section, what we're doing is we're treating it like we're working on watercolor. So I started this one in the previous class. So basically, I thinned it out with liquid so that I can really create like a range of tonal values. If I use the paint straight, I can get my deep dark colors. Areas that I leave blank will be my whites. Areas that I leave super thin are going to be like my lighter values. What can make it easier to do this is if you convert your image on your phone, if you're using it, into a grayscale image, right? It's much easier to read the tones than reading them, trying to convert them to color. But if you do it whichever way you prefer. So basically, I'm just adding my liquid to my paint to thin it the same way. This is like almost like I'm doing a watercolor, okay, to do my underpainting. And then once this is done, I'm going to go over top of this with thin layers of transparent color to begin to build up layers. Okay, so all you're going to be focusing on today is finishing off the drawings, getting them transferred, getting them traced, getting them outlined with the ochre. And then if you are ready, you can start working on doing the first part of the underpainting, only in 1/3 of the panel. We're doing different techniques in the other 2 sections. Okay, everyone's good? Okay. So I'm going to return this to where it goes on the island. If you're ready, oops, I'm going to make it here. Also, don't dress up for this class for the next few weeks. Oil paint is a pain in the butt to get off your clothing. One thing I should talk about is cleaning your brushes. Again, because the camera's messing up on this thing. Basically, what you're doing is you're cleaning your brushes in 2 parts. So on the counter by the sinks, there are 3 bottles of labeled veggie oil. This is the same stuff you have at home, right? Vegetable oil. You can drink out of the bottle if you want to. It's not going to harm you. You're going to put a small squeeze into the palm of your hand. You're going to take a brush that you've cleaned off with some newspaper to get most of the paint out. And there is newspaper you can put underneath you while you're oil painting on the island as well. It makes it, again, cleaning up the end of the period much easier. A little bit of oil in your hand, swirl your brush around. Then you're going to be at the sink when you do this. Wet it. Then a small squirt of dish soap, palm of your hand. Swirl it again. You see most of the brown from the paint coming out. Rinse your brushes under warm water, not hot. Why don't we use hot water on our brushes? Pardon me? It'll be wet? It will basically melt the glue that's inside. This metal part is called the ferrule. The bristles are held in 2 ways. The ferrule is crimped. It's like sort of squished flat to hold the bristles. Also, they're being held together with glue. Hot water melts the glue. And you will start to get a ball brush. Okay? And these aren't expensive. Like the packs you got, it's like a $10 pack, so the brushes are like $1.50, $2 a brush, right? If you become a professional artist at some point in your life, you're buying like $50 brushes. Trust me, they're out there, right? You want those brushes to last a good long time, so you need to make sure that you wash them properly, take care of them, so they last you not just for one project, but for years, right? Even the old ones, you get sort of like old and crusty, I'll keep them and I'll use things like dry brushing, right? So give them a life. Okay, so everyone clear about what you're doing? Right, so you're only using the burnt umber today, only along with the liquid, and you're only painting in 1/3 of your project. Okay? Okay, so that can go in the cubbies, drawing, back room, stack on top of all the others. They're underneath the cocoa plants, the big chocolate light flags. Okay, so I posted these as well. The one that I showed you this week, because usually I'm 6:30 in the office.
dare you to actually like down the hall. This for time. He looks like great. Looks like so attractive. And that just has a help. It's unique.
Yep. I don't want you to pull. Someone did it. You. Large paper is in the green package, red package over there. That.
Yeah, no, I would just have a list.
Okay.